My friends, at the Passover Seder, we were enjoined to transport ourselves back in time 3,300 years into the state of powerlessness and oppression our people endured as slaves in Egypt. As we read in the Haggadah, we were asked to feel as though it was us, not our distant ancestors, feeling the taskmaster's lashes tearing into our backs, that it was our tears, not theirs, that were mixed with the mortar. And it was our cries for deliverance, not theirs, that God heard and mercifully helped make possible our redemption from Egypt. Through this psychological exercise in empathy, we experienced a taste of what it was like for many generations of Jews whose fate it was to live in thrall to oppressors, not only during the 210 years we were slaves in Egypt, but throughout the 2 millennia of our dispersion and exile from our land after the destruction of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. Furthermore, we were enjoined to reacquaint ourselves with horrors our people face through bitter centuries of exile, the Crusades, the Inquisition, the endless cycles of pogroms leading to the Holocaust. The past 6 months have been exceedingly difficult, even traumatic for the Jewish people. Last October 7th, Hamas fighters broke through the Gaza border fence and murdered 1,200 Israelis, the greatest one-day killing of Jewish civilians since the Holocaust. Furthermore, this year we sat around our Passover Seder with empty chairs and prayers for our hostages, now held in captivity in Gaza. And yet, if we can evince the deep empathy needed to feel viscerally the multiple indignities and humiliations our people endured for so long, we will realize anew how incredibly fortunate we are to be alive as Jews in 2024. Simply put, 2024 is not like any other period in Jewish history. And recent events leading up to Passover remind us of that stark contrast. Just 2 weeks ago, on April 13th, Israel emerged virtually unscathed from an unprecedented direct missile attack by Iran. The remarkable display of Israel's multi-layered air defense system and the historic coalition of Israeli, American, British, French, Jordanian, and Saudi forces intercepted 99% of Iranian missiles and attack drones. A few days later, Israel's retaliatory strike unveiled a high-tech missile capable of evading Iran's radar and defense system. Israel sent a calibrated message to the Islamic Republic: think twice before launching another attack on the Jewish state. And then just several days later, Congress approved the largest U.S. security aid package in Israel's history. President Biden's $14.3 billion emerging funding request for Israel. It is a clear signal that the United States stands behind Israel as it continues to expunge Hamas terrorists from Gaza. All these extraordinary developments, and just in the last few weeks. On Passover, memory teaches us empathy, not just to recall our suffering, but also to develop an empathetic imagination. If we are successful in transporting ourselves back thousands of years ago to 210 years of bondage and slavery, To our ancestors' saga of bitterness and tears, his subsequent millennia of unspeakable anguish and sorrow, the challenges and tragedies, the trauma and devastation, the hopelessness and the helplessness, then paradoxically, this exhortation of empathy and remembrance of slavery should enable us to acknowledge our contrasting blessings and gratitude this Passover. On October 7th, Hamas made the fateful error thinking they were targeting helpless and defenseless Jews. In 2024, we are no longer helpless, we are no longer defenseless. Despite the ongoing war with Hamas, the threats from Hezbollah and Iran, and the suffering and captivity of more than 100 hostages in Gaza, recent events leading up to Passover this year remind us that once again Israel is on a march, a self-willed march to restore the strength, honor, and dignity of the Jewish people. Let us rejoice in the state of Israel and marvel at its achievements. Chag Sameach.